All right. I'm going to call to order the Raymore Park Board meeting for Tuesday, March 22nd, 2016. I need a roll call.
Member Kesselman,
Present.
Member Sepola,
Present.
Member Eastwood,
Present.
Member Harris,
Present.
Member Heath, absent. Member Hoddishell's absent. Member Seamers,
Present.
Member Troutman,
Present.
Chairman Manson.
Present. All right, everyone stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we don't have any personal appearances. What I'm going to call for is the acceptance of the minutes. This is from the February 23rd, 2016 meeting.
I move to accept the minutes from the February 23rd, 2016 meeting.
I second it.
All right, any discussion on those minutes? All right, none. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All right, passes unanimously. Committee reports. Finance Committee and Recreation Committee did not meet. Grounds Committee met on March 8th. Mr. Rullo, do you have the care to address that?
Yeah, I'll go, excuse me, I'll address it since the committee chairman, Howdy Shell, is absent this evening. We had a quick meeting. It was a good meeting, good turnout. We basically went over the baseball renovation project up front, kind of explained to everybody where they were at the time. I'll kind of give you a brief updated synopsis of where we're at now. All the old fencing has been removed. All the side fencing, home run fencing, whatever you want to call it, has been installed. The two small backstop poles, have been, they're installed. Hopefully tomorrow, if the wind is not too bad, the two big backstop poles, or the two big backstop, all of the poles will be set and installed, and all the mow strips have been poured. So the project is moving very fast. We've had excellent weather. I don't want to jinx us by any means, but the way it's looking right now, the project will probably be done in advance of what we were hoping. So that's a good thing. We also discussed the staff had a meeting with the Missouri Department of Conservation. We discussed the CAPS agreement and the three projects that we're looking at down at Hawk Ridge Park of the restrooms, the ADA dock, and the trail. A lot of discussion. You know, you're talking about two government entities working into a contract. This is going to be a very slow process, a lot slower than what we thought. But the MDC is trying to work with us, and we're gonna try to start with the probably the smallest project out there, which is the ADA dock. There's that'll probably be the least expensive and the less to prepare for. So if we can get that rolling, it'll end up being basically a three-phase contract or three-phase grant contract with the MDC. Roll one project right into the next. So, and the good thing about the meeting was that with the changes with the MDC, they may be able to pay a big portion of the trail that was going to go in there. So that could be a huge kudos for us. Just talked about the shade structures. As soon as myself gets a brief time to breathe, we'll start working on the RFQ for the shade structures that will be going down at the Recreation Park Sports Complex. Hopefully get started on that. I'm hoping to have something to come to you guys for the next month's meeting. Some community projects came up. There's a couple different groups looking to do something around town, and I just brought it up to the committee to see if they had any ideas on what they think might might be good projects. There's always, especially this time of year, there's trash that blows everywhere to be picked up. Staff tries to run down to Hawkridge Park and pick up some trash, but it seems like, the very next week it's back in the same situation. So we have some of that. We have a lot of mulching that can be done. There are flower beds that need to be updated. And there's a couple butterfly gardens improvements that will be going in this year too. So those were some of the ideas passed around, and that will be taken on to those community groups that are looking for projects. A couple Eagle Scout projects are coming up. I hope to be working with them. A couple good projects could come out of it with a little bit of work. So discussed with one, hoping to meet with another one here in the next week or so. So whenever I get with him and we got a final time, they'll definitely be coming here presenting their presentation to you all and letting you guys ask questions. So then we went over the GO bond. Other than that, that's about all we discussed. I'd entertain any questions that happened in the committee meeting.
Any questions? All right, thank you. I'm going to staff reports. Recreation Superintendent, Mr. McLean.
Thank you, sir. Well, it's a busy time of year. Let's just put it that way. I'll try to keep it as brief. I've submitted the recreation report. I will highlight a few of the things that has been on our main front burner, so to speak. Of course, the Easter Festival being this weekend, a lot of working with community partners in the stuffing of the 15,000 eggs. Jerry Lynn has been running around town getting as much help and support as she can, and we want to thank all of them. And so that has been the forefront of the recreation coordinator's position over the last few weeks, is just mainly getting that ready. We actually this year have back-to-back special events. So the Jog with Your Dog is the following Saturday, so she's also been working on that, getting everything prepared and ready for that, working with the animal control staff to get this event underway as well. So both of those have been on the forefront, and administrative staff have been helping with those projects as well. We've had quite a few meetings, highlighted there a couple of them. Myself and one of the staff from Belton Parks and Recreation actually were invited to the Cass County Junior Athletic Association's tackle football meeting. They've asked us to join in potentially looking at if there's help that the two departments can help with that organization. So as of now, it's just informational meetings. We're kind of getting a feel for that, so there might be some more meetings, and as those meetings move forward, we'll discuss if there's any options of support that the Parks Department will have with working with that organization. But other than that, most of the meetings we've been having, I've had meetings with the Challenger Sports Group, soccer group. We currently contract them for a camp that we do every year. Also, those guys will be working with us. I've got them lined up for a couple of trainers for our Raymore United soccer pre-tryout clinic, as well as our tryouts, helping us run those. So been meeting with them, getting that stuff lined out to really push and build our Raymore United Soccer Club kickoff tryout season this year. Also had South Metro Sports Group meetings with scheduling soccer, scheduling volleyball. Baseball, we're still currently taking registrations through April 1st. So game schedules are still being created for soccer, volleyball. We got those up. Practices have all started. So coaches' meetings have been held. Many discussions with moving forward into the spring sports season. And with that being said, we wrapped up our winter basketball, and we have sent out our surveys, so we'll have some survey results on that. I believe we've had some very good feedback from coaches this year, and it was an exciting year. We saw a good growth in it, and it went very well. So I'm excited to get the survey results back. We'll be collecting those very soon. And then finally, with the sports that we do have underway with the soccer and volleyball, we have not seen too much of an increase in volleyball. We did see an increase in soccer. The volleyball was just a couple of participants over the 2015 season, but we also added third graders. After reviewing this over and over again, we realized that volleyball is one of the sports that we started later than any other sport. Last year we added kindergarten through on the basketball. This year we added third graders. We broke our divisions up a little bit more on the volleyball to try to grasp those girls and get them involved with volleyball sooner than fourth grade. You know, a lot of them are already involved with softball and soccer and basketball because they can do those sports at a kindergarten level and get started. So volleyball is it's harder because the nets only go so low. So it's a challenge to do that, but trying to get them engaged in that sport, we decided to open up the range and divide the divisions a little bit more. So I'm hoping that we see that growth further down the line. Some of the other cities that we share play with have seen a little bit of a spike by doing this, so I'm anticipating that we will get that here through more marketing avenues as we move forward. Other than that, that's it in a nutshell. I know that was a lot, but the report speaks for itself as well, so if there's any questions, I'd be glad to entertain them at this time.
All right. Are the results of the survey going to be available to the board?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I'll be interested in that.
I can do that with, I believe, what was it, May? I will do my program guide, the summary reports for the financial reports. I'll tag on the survey results, a spreadsheet with the survey results, along with the financial reports.
Okay, excellent.
All right.
Thank you. All right, staff report from the park superintendent, Mr. Rulo.
Thank you. There's a written report in the packet, but I just wanted to key on a couple things that happened over the last month. Park staff did complete the French drain on the south end of of where we have our soccer game fields. Hopefully this will keep some of the water off of the trails and also make it a little bit easier to, one, play soccer, play disc golf, and just make it just a nicer looking area down there. Staff also renovated the baseball field at number 4 at Memorial Park. If you all recall, last fall we did field number 3, which will allow us to play some more of our T-ball games there. Definitely have practices there if we have tournaments during the weekend and need the ball fields. So we went ahead and did the same thing to field 4 this spring. It turned out really nice. We took some of the player benches that we took out of the recreation park project. We pulled those and we actually took them up to the school that never had player benches and concreted them in, so the players actually have a place to sit now while they're waiting to bat. So the field's really turned out nice. We need a little bit more rain on number 4 to make it definitely good and playable, but it'll be there before we start playing, I think. The last thing I want to say is to invite everybody out on Saturday. I'm sure you'll hear more about the Easter event that's going on this weekend, but during the Easter festival, after all the kids get their eggs and everything, we actually it's basically the second annual Arbor Day celebration. We have 50 golden eggs that are going to be placed out in the field. If the kids get a golden egg, They open it up, and it's basically an invitation to come and join, be an honorary Arbor Day citizen for the day. They come over and help us finish planting the tree that'll be in the ground, get their picture taken. I think Nathan has purchased some more bald cypress seedlings that will be handed out to all the kids that come over and help out. So just trying to get the word out there, and would like all you guys to come and enjoy. If that, I'll take any questions.
What is the age limit on the Arbor Day part?
There is no age limit to love trees.
Okay, well, I meant to participate. I am glad to hear that. To find the golden goose egg.
I think they're spread out between all age kids, I believe. Do you know?
For the egg hunt, it's 0 to 4th grade, but if there's anybody that'd like to participate in the Arbor Day celebration portion, it's around 10:45 on the west side of Memorial Park, and all ages are welcome. We just put the eggs in there so that some of those kids can receive that invitation to come specifically over and participate in that. So,
Thank you.
All right, any questions? All right, thank you. Now from Park and Recreations Director, Mr. Mustine.
thank you, sir. I have submitted a written report as well. A couple things I want to highlight. I put in my report pictures of the concept plan for the municipal expansion building right here behind City Hall. That will be our future offices. I know this will be, the pictures are fairly new. We saw them in the bond slideshow presentation earlier. They were just there. I wanted to make sure that you guys saw what the building will look like. So that is what is coming. Let's see. Dana Setter, she is an administrative assistant with the city. She's also the grants coordinator. She and I have been working on several grant projects for the next several years, our CIP projects. And I will just tell you that Parks and Recreation projects have a lot of grant opportunities. It's finding those that you qualify for. So Dana and I work fairly closely and submitting those grants. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't, but rest assured we're looking at every project that we have funded, trying to find some opportunity to supplement those costs and save some money and get some other cooperation involved with that. This morning I attended the Raymore Peculiar Sunrise Optimist Club and received a donation check for the Easter Festival this weekend, and Assistant City Manager Halk and I also presented on the upcoming bond issue, and I just did some spot shooting as far as answering questions from the group there. So it was a good time. I'm always excited to visit them when they feed me free breakfast, and I've been invited to come back in June for another donation, and I'll take their free breakfast then too. Last week, I got to attend the Missouri Community Forester Council Conference. It's part of my arborist certification. Last week's conference focused heavily on Tree City USA, municipal efforts as far as tree work and partnerships with MDC. I'm happy to say that we do a lot of what they recommend, a lot of networking, and come back with some great ideas of how to enhance our Arbor Day festivals and just our tree board, and to build and develop that a little more. So I appreciate the opportunity to attend that. Would like to make a couple of announcements. I believe Ms. Keith presented some pamphlets where you guys are sitting for the honor bricks and the tribute trees and memorial benches, just the Raymore legacy. We are up and running with that program. We're taking orders at this point. We have already taken orders for bricks and benches alike. So I just wanted to give you guys the brochures for that, and feel free to contact us or to give those out to somebody you think might be interested. One note is that none of these honorary items are specific towards just veterans of the armed services. This is open to any type of memorial or dedication or anything that you have in memory of or in reverence to anything. So it's not specifically for veterans, but obviously it's all very near and dear into our hearts, so that is an option as well. And finally, this Thursday on March 24th at 6:30, Jim Cataret, our Community Development Director, is hosting a Raymore Community for All Ages meeting. This is a public meeting to very similar to the strategic plan in which we're gathering information and ideas on how to further Raymore's ability to program and provide services for residents of all ages. So this is an open meeting that you can come and be a part of and have your ideas and everything documented and just be a part of that process. So that is an open invitation, and that is this Thursday right here in this room at 6:30 p.m. And it also shows that there will be refreshments provided if you're coming straight from work. And with that, I've given my projects updates, and they're highlighting all the projects that we've been working on, some pictures of some of this stuff, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Nathan, on the honor bricks, are they being set now, or is there a schedule for that?
No, sir, they're not being set. We're just taking orders at this point. We're basically, lack of better terms, we're sandbagging some of them and until we have a significant number of within the order, and then we can install several at one time. Ideally, what we planned on doing is installing them and then revealing that during the Veterans Day event in November. Should we get a large number of orders, then we'll probably break that down and do one in the summer near July 4th or even Labor Day, some coinciding with some event that we might have. But the initial plan is to do it at the Veterans Day ceremony.
Right. Yeah, I have some concern. I have two friends of mine that I plan on requesting, and unfortunately, Jerry Lynn and I have talked about them, trying to get them to Veterans Day. And unfortunately, one of them passed last January. I have another friend, Bill Davis, who's one of the few still alive ace fighter pilots from World War II. He's a P-51 pilot.
Oh, wow.
Bill just turned 95, still living, going skydiving next week. He and his 86-year-old sister.
Yes.
And I'm planning on putting 2 bricks for this Veterans Day. Jerry Lynn had them scheduled out there. We had them scheduled out there, but illness and events stopped it. But we're going to put bricks in.
Very good.
I've met the gentleman he was just speaking about, and he is every bit as energetic as you'd expect somebody to be that's jumping out of a plane regardless of their age.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, sir. All right, now on to old business. We have the concession vending contract. That's a report item.
Thank you,
Mr.
sir. Just a quick report. We brought this back in January, I believe, just to inform the board and remind them that the city does contract services for, I believe, concessions, which is the beverages, the vending machines. This is a city contract, so there's technically no action that the park board needs to take on this other than the fact that your department manages this contract. So it was a report item at that point, and this particular report is to let you know that Pepsi Cola or Pepsi Beverage Company has won that bid, and City Council will be presented with the request for award of contract on Monday night. So this is just for your information to follow up on something that we had back in January.
All right, anyone have questions? Yes, Brian.
Can I ask why, in the past, we've always approved a recommendation to send it to city council? Is there a reason why we're not doing that anymore?
Outside of I wasn't told I needed to come to you for that.
Okay. We just always have in the past. 'Cause
But I can
remember
tell you,
voting on that, but
we sent out 8 requests specifically to 8 different companies, and then just the general open for bid on the websites and stuff. Pepsi was the only one that submitted a complete bid, so it would be who I would recommend to you, and you're more
it's
than welcome.
okay. I mean,
Yes.
obviously, city council has to approve it anyway,
Yes.
but I guess just, I'm thinking for proper procedure, since our department manages it, it just makes sense to me, but whatever.
Okay. Well, I can ask and look into that and see if I misstepped anywhere and make sure that we correct that next time.
Wouldn't staff have
the ability to actually make it, operate in that sphere of basically decision-making without having to refer to the board, since it's basically a contract for best services. And it's going to be approved by the city council anyway, or has to be. So all we need to do is be apprised as opposed to having to pass on it, correct?
Yes,
All right,
that was the approach I took.
all right, thank you. All right. The screen printing contract, that's a report item also.
Yes, sir. Same scenario. I will say, Mr. McLean reminded me, one of the reasons why I personally didn't come to you for a recommendation is the fact that these are city services that all departments utilize. The concessions are obviously parks oriented, but the vending machines are located throughout the city facilities, which is why it's a city contract. Same for the screen printing. The Public Works Department utilizes this contract. So to ask for your permission to approve this contract for Public Works uniforms and stuff is one of the reasons why this is running through the city council. But like I said, I will research that and ask and make sure we're doing that. So to follow up on that report, Little Sports Shop is being recommended to city council for award of contract for this, and that includes all of our maintenance staff uniforms. It also includes the Public Works uniforms. This is their hoodies, their daily shirts, and our recreation uniforms, our sports and athletic gear. And so Monday night, City Council will be requested for a award of contract to Little Sports Shop out of Blue Springs.
Any questions? Now, this is going to cover the sports uniforms that are issued to our players.
Yes, sir.
It's Raymore United.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right. New business. We have a festival in the park. It's an MOU. This is an action item. Mr. Mustine.
Thank you, sir. Year to year, the Festival in the Park Committee submits requests for a memorandum of understanding for use of Memorial Park for their festival in September. This is the standard agreement that's been in place for several years now. I took liberty with their permission, with the committee's permission, to update the dates, just general updating of logo and things of that nature, just to kind of bring it up to speed and to correct some verbiage that was misspelled and stuff in there. But this has their approval. They have requested that I bring this forward for your review and recommendation to the council to approve this MOU. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have, or my staff, as they typically are the ones who, especially Steve and his guys, are the ones who have the most involvement with this, the things that are involved with the MOU and the requirements that the things that they're requesting of us. So with that, I'll ask any questions, but we do recommend that we approve this recommendation.
Any questions? All right. Since it's an action item, it's going to require a vote and a motion. Actually, a motion and a vote. Brian?
I move we approve the MOU for the Festival in the Park for 2016.
Second.
All right, motion's been seconded. Any discussion? All right. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you, Brian. It passes unanimously.
I would like to follow up one thing. In the next month, April, the festival will be coming forward with their typical request of alcohol in the park and just their licenses and things that we typically see on a year-to-year basis from them. So those will be coming forth.
All right, thank you. All right, background screening policy review, that's an action item. Mr. Mustine.
Thank you, sir. I will let Superintendent McLean take this one.
Thank you, sir. As you know, Director Mustine has been going through certain policies, and we've brought to you before different policies as we are going to start doing the annual review as it is listed in the book. This was the one that we picked for this month, and there is only one suggested change to the current background screening policy that is approved by the park board, and it's on page 2, and it's how often we do the background screenings. If you can see, I've put it in suggested mode when printing this out, and I took out the biannual basis. Currently, I'm doing it more on an annual basis, running these checks, because biannually we can see, and other agencies in our area have seen issues with failures of the the background checks coming back within that time frame of a biannual basis. The court can determine whether they are guilty of a charge, and that biannual has really affected other cities. And so by doing that, this is more of a preemptive strike on my part to help us prevent issues that some of our neighboring cities have run across. So I would like to move that we take out the on the biannual basis, and we run these background checks on anybody that's involved with our programs. A lot of times it's mostly coaches, but we do run them on other programs as well. But we do those within a calendar year. So they're good for one calendar year, and then after that, if they're coaching again for us, we run it again.
All right. Any questions? Brian?
I move to accept the background policy with a change to change it to an annual from a biannual basis.
Second.
All right, motion's been second. Discussion? All right, no discussion?
Yeah, I got a question.
Yes, Brian?
Obviously, I'm in favor of this, but what kind of budget hit do we expect to take by doing this?
It will affect the budget. This year, I increased that amount. I'm going to say, depends on the growth of the programs, of course, but as we've gone through, I increased that budget amount this year about approximately $2,000. It's about $18 per time we run a coach, so, and that has been sufficient. We did not go over budget last year, and so that's what I put in for this year.
So you're not anticipating an increase this year?
No, not off of what I budgeted
in.
amount.
What was it prior to this year?
I don't know the exact number, but yeah, I put an extra 2 in there when we did this just for background checks, and right now we're on track to being fine.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Is there a provision for conducting a background check as needed? In other words, you got an annual that's designed to review each employee to see if there's been an issue that's developed in that time frame. But if there's some reason that you may feel that there's a need to check an employee's background again, there's no provision for that.
On
Or need for
employee
that,
or
or-
on our volunteers?
Or
Because this
pardon me,
is
volunteer.
volunteers.
I'm sorry, volunteers.
Okay.
Excuse me, I stand
If
corrected.
something has come up and it's in question, we go back to the last review date.
Okay.
And if it's within that time frame, we can run it again. There's no limit to how many times we can run. This one is saying that we definitely are running at least once a year on it.
All right, this is what I want to do, some clarification on that part is whether or not we can do it as a need basis on volunteers.
Well, we do want to make sure we do that as an as-needed basis, for sure. And Brian looks like he has a question, so I'm
I
going
do
to
have a
wait.
question. We're looking at a 12-month running period. So if they've done it within the last 12 months as opposed to a calendar year, is there any advantage to saying if they haven't, because different people coach different
Right.
seasons, is there any advantage to saying it has to be within that calendar year? I don't know if there is or not, but.
I don't know. We go by sports season. So if they do basketball and they pass, then they can do spring baseball and fall ball. But then when basketball rolls back around, if they haven't,
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we go within a 12 months from the last time they had it ran.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, so it does fluctuate within that year, depending on what they're coaching. Some coaches are coaching multiple sports, and then others just do one, so each year they get ran.
Okay.
And we do want to make sure that we do run on volunteer help like the Easter Bunny, because it's Steve Rulo. I'm just joking. Sorry. We just, you brought up employees. I was just going off of Steve being our.
And that was a mistake on my part. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be played on.
I guess the question
I was
is,
just making sure that everybody knew who our Easter Bunny was.
I assume we do run a background check on our all employees, though. Also,
Yes, we
as
do.
policy.
Yes.
Just make sure.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Kind of the same but different on the carnival and festival in the park in September. Who runs the background checks on those people that work for the carnival,
I would assume that the corporation that they contract with runs their background checks, but that is through the festival. And to be truthful, I don't have an answer for that, but we can find out. I can ask the committee if they do that and what requirements they have, if you'd like to have that answer.
and then who, like, kind of polices that to see if any of those people, because, I mean, there's a lot of kids.
That would be with the festival in the park as the prime contractor for that service.
Sheldon?
Out of curiosity, historically, have we had much of rejection of applicants through background checks? Has that been a problem, per se?
I would not say it's been a problem. We have had some, if we have anybody that's within question, our policy is to bring it forward to the Recreation Committee and discuss that, and I have not had to in the time I've been here.
So there's been hardly any frequency of that then, okay.
Like I said, a lot of this was based off of the fact that some of our neighboring cities had some issues come up, and with that being said, I feel like this is money very well spent to protect the children of our community in any program that we do, so.
Okay. Mr. Musteen, I believe as a result, the festival, since that's a private contractor, and we have an MOU with them holding us harmless for any actions, they're responsible for the securing and checking any employees on their own. And we can ask and find out what procedures they have, but there's nothing that says we have control over how they conduct it, correct?
That is correct, and I will follow up with the committee on how they manage that portion of their contract.
All right, thank you. There's no further discussion. We've had a motion and seconded. All those in favor, raise your right hand. All right, it passes unanimously. Public comment, I don't believe we have it. All right. We have a comment.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the Park Board, Mr. Bunny. Just wanted to give you a quick informational update on the bond issue. As you all know, we are in the final run. Staff is preparing an informational brochure on both of the issuances that we'll be mailing next Thursday. So it will hit homes right in front to avoid any accusation of conflict. It's been my experience that that particular mailing has to be as plain Jane as you can make it. It's literally on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. We don't use the slick brochure even. We will begin in the next couple of days organizing the management team to work the polls. The management team, of course, because it's during the day, they're being paid by the city. It's strictly informational work at the polls. We will also be putting out a call for any volunteers who want to work the polls from a strictly informational standpoint. However, I need to, there's a delineation, of course. The management team can't do anything relative to affirming votes for the bond issue. Volunteers, however, are under a different level. If you're volunteering to be there, I myself plan to take the day off and actually work the polls so that I'm not being paid by the city. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility on what you might happen to say. Would like to extend the invitation to any of the volunteer park board members who would like to work the polls. We'll be organizing a sign up for that in the upcoming days, and I'm sure Mr. Mustine or Mr. Bunny will be getting out to you all how you could sign up for that particular item. And I would entertain any questions from the board relative to the bond issue that I could answer tonight.
Is everybody stunned? All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. All right. That closes public comments. Any board member comments? Anyone like to talk? Yes, Brian.
Yeah, I would, I'd like to ask, there was in your about news section, there was March 4th, there was a meeting about the Raymore Cemetery regarding the Parks Department. What was that about? Can you give some more explanation?
Yes. Councilmember Hubach did request that the city investigate and look at a partnership with the cemetery board as far as maintenance and just working with them on the cemetery. It's gone no further than that, other than the fact that we're looking into what it would take, and we can't really comment on anything further than that because we don't have any information for it.
Okay, thanks. I'd also like to ask, and this goes back to a long-standing issue with me, I think, the surveys, the basketball surveys. I didn't get one. I'm assuming they were sent to the primary name on the account. They weren't?
Going out tomorrow.
Oh. Well, the way you said feedback was coming back really quick, I assumed you were expecting it.
I got yes. The feedback I got was prior to when coaches were dropping off. I've had 3 emails, 2 phone calls, and then our office assistant, Miss Nab, she also got 2 emails. So we were getting feedback. We created the surveys. Our email went down. We weren't able to connect with Rec Track to the emails, so we've been fighting a couple of internal issues. They are all scheduled to go out tomorrow.
Okay, that's all.
So you will receive yours from me as a coach tomorrow.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
I'd also like to mention again, everybody's talked about it, the next special events we have coming up before our next meeting. This is more for public consumption than us. Easter Festival and Arbor Day, obviously March 26th, or on April 2nd is Jog with Your Dog over here at Public Works in the Parks Department, and the Raymore Animal Control. That's it. I was going to say shelter, but animal control. April 2nd, that's 10 a.m. Yes, a very awesome MC will be there, so everybody come. And then April 23rd, Touch a Truck. And then another very important date that is not an event. It is an event, but not a special event for us. April 5th, Election Day. So everybody's been referencing that. We got all that going on before the next meeting. I'd also like to say, I don't say it really enough, I kind of do, but not enough. Thank you to the staff. There was a lot of stuff in tonight's deal, a lot of information towards us. Spring's here, summer's coming, your crew's gonna be busy, you're busy with all the events that are going on. This is your busy time between sports, because your list was crazy. Summer Quest starts up in what, 4 weeks, 5 weeks? It's coming up before you know it, and your special events for summer coming up. So thank you to you guys for doing what you do for us. We very much appreciate it, and I don't know why. I've been doing this for 9, 10 years, and this report here seemed to be like it was so full of crap. I hope you guys don't get, I'm sorry, can I not say that out loud? Was that a bad word? Stuff? You guys, might go a little insane. So I hope you don't. I appreciate all the effort you put into it and help us out. So thank you. Sorry about that. It's not that bad of a word. Plus, nobody's watching on TV anyway. Let's be honest.
No, they're gonna watch on YouTube.
All of a sudden.
All right. Anybody else wish to make a comment without using certain words? Yes, Jenny.
I've mentioned before, and I just wanted to mention again to everybody that I really appreciate the Parks Department and the crew for working on the Hawk Ridge Park, for getting it cleared out all the way around so you can walk the full circumference of the pond, lake. And I do appreciate that. To kind of tag along with Brian there, not on the C word or anything like that, but the jog with the dog, that's what my son calls it. He won't say, so he calls it that word. Oh, wow, okay. Now I'm embarrassed. Moving along, to tag along with on the jog with the dog, April 2nd is also an important day to many of our residents. It is a national observation for Lighted Up Blue, which is for autism awareness. So I invite everybody that evening to turn on the blue lights around their homes. The entire month is Autism Awareness Month. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Anyone else? Michelle.
Every year about this time, the social media people get on and complain about the bathrooms not being open. And every year we have a freeze after the complaints are made. Our staff knows how this works every year, so I understand your concern and your complaints, but I also understand if we open the bathrooms too early, they're gonna bust and cost more money and never be open. So come to these meetings, talk to your park board, you know, we're here, instead of assuming or getting honest about it, let's talk about it and try to make some solutions instead of finger pointing, because every year this happens. So that's just kind of my 2 cents worth.
Thank you. Well stated. Anyone else? Sheldon.
A couple of weeks ago, I received what I thought was a direct email from a young lady about the no tax increase bond, and she was misadvised as to how that process worked. I answered the email, but I found out later that it was directed to the rest of the board. Did you see it? I won't put a name out there. Does anybody recall that? I think Nathan responded. I know Nathan got it. John, you may have gotten it too. But she did respond very favorably, and I thought, this is how this should work. I feel we turned somebody around who was misinformed, did not understand what we were doing, and it was a high mark for we need to communicate directly and completely. We were discussing in the work session about misstatements, misunderstandings, and this is what we can do to prevent that and to shut it down in the cases that we can. We need to communicate.
Thank you. All right. No one else? Yes, Mr. Mustang.
I'd like to say something real quick. Tomorrow will be my 1-year anniversary coming back to the city, so I just want to say thank you guys for the opportunity to come back, and it's been a blast, and I'm just so looking forward to all the things that we have in the future, and so I just appreciate it. Thank you.
And I have to admit, it wasn't without a lot of soul searching. Okay. Brian. Yes.
I move for adjournment.
Second. All right, motion's been made and second. All those in favor of adjournment, raise your right hand. All right, this meeting is adjourned.